Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising trilogy, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again. Each book is a compilation of features about cruisers and cruise and travel personalities from around the world. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul, and this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Stephanie Mullen, co-creator of the Sean Stef blog and YouTube channel. From the Sean Stef website, we are Sean Stef, your favorite cruise travelers. We are professional filmmakers and have won 3 Emmy Awards for our video work. We are positive filmmakers who focus on the joys of travel and all the fun that goes along with the journey. We travel the world exploring destinations, all while making video memories that last a lifetime. Our mission is to inspire and connect with people all around the world and show them the joys of travel. We are personally and emotionally fulfilled by the amazing people we meet and hope to continue this great journey as far as the road will take us. Sean was a talented artist, visual effects guru, and magical storyteller. Sean's talents took him all over the world and has won many accolades, including 3 Emmys. He worked on a few Hollywood productions and TV shows, creating his own company, Rampant Design, before landing his dream job of helping to create magic for Disney theme parks. On February 24, 2020, Sean was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer and was given roughly 3 months to live. Refusing to accept that timeline, a friend helped get Sean into the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, and Sean was a patient there long beyond 3 months. Throughout Sean's treatment, Sean and Stef kept their prodigious fan base apprised, especially Stef, via daily journals on their website. Stef's first post was Day 0, the worst day of our lives. Reading each entry was at times poignant, wrenching, and incredibly sad, yet full of hope. After a pause, they also started vlogging on YouTube again. Stef said editing kept Sean's mind active and filming kept us always busy. We were documenting the good times, the sad times, and everything in between. Sean succumbed to his hard-fought battle with pancreatic cancer on March 6, 2021, almost a year beyond the life expectancy given at the time of his diagnosis. He was just 43 years old. It is my honor to welcome Stef of Sean Stef to the Joy of Cruising podcast. While it is Stef's first appearance on a cruising podcast since Sean passed, she has not stopped cruising, blogging, and vlogging. In fact, on my last cruise, a double bucket list 16-day journey from Hawaii to Alaska on Norwegian Spirit, Stef was aboard, traveling with top cruise influencers, Cruise with Ben and David. Stef posts regularly on Sean Stef, and if you want to see vlogs about the Hawaii-Alaska cruise, Stef has a bunch, and I love reliving that cruise through her eyes. In fact, Stef has cruised since December 2021, and I have been gorging on great content on the Sean Stef YouTube channel. Her blog has likewise been quite busy. A recent blog entry was, "Not happy, but way less sad. Year 3, week 31, since Sean passed." Welcome, Stef, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Hi, Paul. It's great to be here. Great to see you.
It's good to see you again. I saw you in passing on NCL Spirit. You and Ben and David were pretty preoccupied when I saw you, so I didn't get a chance to come up and chat. But how you doing?
I'm doing really, really well. Thank you for having me on your show. This is really exciting. Been really busy with work since I came home from the Spirit, but things are finally slowing down a little bit and getting back into producing content for the channel, which I know we're going to talk about. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah, and later I want to talk to you about your job. It's a new job, new position, right?
Yes and no. We'll talk about it.
Okay, we'll talk about that. So there's so much to talk to you about. Before we discuss Sean and Steph, tell our listeners about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, where you live, meeting Sean, whatever you would like to share with us.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Columbia, Maryland. I grew up there until I was in middle school. And then my parents decided that we were going to move to West Virginia, which was a crazy move going from Columbia, which is very, very urban, to very country. It's very
Mm-hmm.
different. From West Virginia, I got to go to West Virginia University, which is where I went to school. I got a few degrees there and spent a lot of time there, and then moved to Orlando to be an art teacher because that's what I have a degree in. And then, of course, living in Orlando, you have and I'm a lover of all things Disney. I wanted to go to the parks and visit. But as we all know, teachers do not make millions of dollars. I wish they did. So buying an annual pass to the parks, was not in the cards. It wasn't going to happen. So I decided that while I was teaching during the week, I would work, on the weekends as a cast member. And I got a position, at Epcot at the land boat ride of all places. And I was working the attraction. And so that's where I worked. I was going to the parks, got access to the parks with my job, and I loved it. And then, so I was working one day and this guy walked up to me, started talking to me, and then he asked for my number, and that guy was Sean. And so we met at the land boat ride, and basically after that day, we were inseparable, and
Mm-hmm.
he proposed to me on the ride, and yeah, that's the rest is kind of history. So that's a little bit nutshell of, sort of me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Sean, when you met Sean, he was working for Disney or with Disney. He was doing something in the field, right?
Yeah, so he was a freelancer, and so
Uh-huh.
he was being contracted by Disney to do odds and ends of animations and videos and things of editing and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he was in the parks taking pictures for another project when he met me, which was crazy how that all worked out.
Hey, let me go back before I'll forget. I forgot what I had for breakfast this morning. But you mentioned West Virginia, and I just wanted to say I'm kind of a mountaineer. My daughter was a track star, and she got recruited there, and she met her future husband there, who was a football star. I don't know what year you were there. His name is Lance Frazier. So that, of course, they're married now. But so anyway, I went up there all the time to go to the football games,
Yeah.
or the track meets. I hated driving up there. I lived in the New York area, and driving up there was through the mountains. To me it was hazardous, but
Yes.
yep.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, so your daughter is a mountaineer just like me. So
Yep. So
that's amazing. What a small world.
I just had to throw that out because whenever I'll stop people in the mall with the West Virginia shirt on, and I'll just start bending their ear about West Virginia. So
That's amazing.
so talk about your exciting new opportunity as an official Disney artist. Joining Sean as another visual effects designer in the family.
So Sean has been an amazing visual effects artist. He worked in Hollywood, has a ton of credits in Hollywood on TV. He has a whole IMDb page. I'm in awe of his talent and his work. And then in 2019, he was already working for Disney, and he asked me, he's like, you should come and interview and work as a contractor with Disney with me. And I thought, no way I can do this. That's not possible. I can't do what you do. But I did interview, and I did apply, and they accepted me as a contractor. And it was amazing. Sean and I got to work on some amazing things for the Disney parks. When you illustrate and animate on one of the most recognizable structures in the world, that is simply mind blowing. And of course, I'm talking about Cinderella Castle. It just being able to have your art seen by millions of people is truly a dream come true. I never thought that it would be a possibility that I could draw for a living. Then fast forward to now, being a contractor was really nice, but there's not a lot of stability in freelancing. It's a very there's always the fear, right? That something will happen. You won't be called back for work. The company will lose money. Now my fear of Disney is not going to lose money, but they may not have work for me. Which is
Right.
part of freelancing. It's just how it works. But then in September of this year, which was just a couple months ago, I was contacted by Disney and they had a full-time role for me as a full-time official Disney artist. And that's what I am. So I'm an official Disney animator now. And it blows my mind every second of the day that I get to draw for a living. Like I basically color and create art. And I mean, it's just fabulous. I love it so much. I've been doing some really exciting projects, some things I can't talk about, but some things I can. I got a super secret project that I'm on now, but I also was just recently part of the team that brought Mickey and Minnie's holiday party to the entire Disney Cruise Line fleet. And it's a super cute deck show. So if you're on any of the ships right now during the holiday season, you go up to see the deck show, you will see it. And I was part of that. And I'm honored that I was part of that team. And we keep making more and more cool stuff. And I get to be part of some really cool things. So yeah, I'm another visual effects designer in the family, following in Sean's footsteps. And he taught me everything that I know. So I wouldn't be here without him. And I am truly blessed and honored to keep that flame going.
Well, I know with the amount of cruising that you do, we're going to want to have you back anyway. So maybe you should come back when you can tell us about that super secret project you're working on, because that's not now I'm like, that just sounds so intriguing. So let us know when you can when you can divulge that, and that'll be a good time. I'm sure you will have gone on some cruises in the interim, so that'll be a good time to have you back.
That would be lovely. And yes, when I can talk about it, I will love to shout it from the rooftops.
All right. So we are Facebook friends. So I know that you recently back from a cruise on Virgin Voyages Valiant Lady, and I was really looking forward to chatting with you about that. First of all, and I'm not just saying this stuff, but in every photo you posted, you seem genuinely happy. And the other reason I wanted to talk about it, selfishly, I'm interested to hear about your experience as we're going on Virgin for the first time in early 24. So tell us all about it.
Well, first of all, I'm really super excited for you to go on Virgin because I think you're going to have a fabulous time. It's so much fun. Virgin is a fun cruise line. It was my second cruise with Virgin. I went last Thanksgiving on Scarlet Lady, and this time it was on Valiant Lady. And it was just as fun this time as it was the last time. And the pictures that you see me being happy, like I have not been that relaxed or more just myself than on Virgin. And I think that's one of the things that I love the most about Virgin is that you can be yourself, and no matter what, it's just the most inclusive line ever. And you just don't see that in any other, you don't see that really in any other place ever. And I love how Virgin does cruising. It's very, very different. If you've been on Disney Cruise Line, Disney does cruising completely different than like the Royal Caribbean line or Norwegian or Carnival.
Right.
Virgin's different. It's basically summer camp for adults. And it's a great experience.
Now I'm going on Scarlet Lady. So distinguish Valiant Lady and Scarlet Lady. Was it pretty much the same experience, or were there noticeable differences?
I didn't notice any differences. I thought it felt like the same ship. The food was just as amazing on Valiant Lady as it was on Scarlet Lady. So, I mean, their food is, first of all, Virgin's food is the best complimentary food at sea, hands down. Nobody beats them. Every time I eat at one of the restaurants, I'm like, I cannot believe that this is included and we're not paying a specialty meal cost. I was really happy and pleasantly surprised that the consistency for the food was the same on both Valiant Lady and Scarlet Lady. So I feel like that's really important because when you sail on like a lot of like royal ships or Norwegian ships, you find that they're all sometimes the food's really great, sometimes the food's not so great. And to have the food be the exact same level of awesomeness was so amazing. So yeah, I think that I right now with the Virgin ships being pretty similar, there's not a lot of differences on them. I think the big difference between is the length of the cruise. So Scarlet Lady was a 5-night that I went on, and then Valiant Lady was an 8-night. I like the longer cruises. As you know, we shared Alaska and Hawaii together. So
Right.
I like those. And for me, that's the big difference because of the length of the cruises, but the ship and the staff and the crew and everything in between for Virgin is just top notch.
Well, as you recall on the Alaska cruise, they had 6 sea days from Hawaii up to Alaska, and I did a lot of eating in those 6 sea days. Well, on Virgin, it's my first time on Virgin, but it'll also be our first transatlantic. So we're starting with 8 sea days, and I'm gonna try everything. So I hope after 8 sea days I haven't gained 8 pounds, but
and it's okay because the calories do not count on cruises. That's what I've been told. So you are
that's right. Plus, there's a lot of opportunities to work out on Virgin. I think they got a boxing ring or a heavy bag or something like that. Did you do what did you do on the ship?
So they do have a ton of exercise and classes and everything else. But for me, working as many hours as I've been working some serious hours for the projects I've been on. I just wanted to sit. And I did. I sat a lot. I had a balcony cabin, so I had a hammock. So I sat on my hammock and just listened to the ocean go by. But there's so many things going on that you can do something every single second of the day or do nothing at the same time. But they have some really unique exercise classes as far as things like boxing, and they have an 80s workout. Like Paul, you should definitely bring some 80s gear and go do the 80s workout. It's really fun. They have a really great gym, and they have like a walking track and things like that. So it's really very different way of cruising with Virgin.
We'll be back after a quick break. Don't drink the milk. Don't drink the milk. Don't drink the milk.
No, this isn't a podcast about milk. If you like historical intrigue, a bit of culture, and a sprinkling of controversy, this one's for you. I'm Rachel Stewart, and I'm travelling around Europe, following the hidden history of everyday things as they're exported through time and around the world, by force, by chance, or by choice. No need to pack your bags. Just subscribe to Don't Drink the Milk wherever you listen to podcasts.
I do have to make an admission. When we were on the NCL Spirit, I said, 16 days, we're going to spend some time in the gym. And we packed all of these fitness clothes and never opened it. Never opened that cube in my suitcase. Somehow we just never made it to the gym.
That's okay. I think that's all right.
I needed you to say that. Have you gone on any cruises between NCL Spirit and the one you just got on?
That was
Virgin?
the only one.
Okay. So talk about some of your reflections, impressions about the Spirit cruise. I've loved watching the video. Same thing when Ben and David were going to be on. That was one of the delights of the research process was, I watched a lot of their videos, and of course, watching the Alaska ones was just bringing back great memories, and same thing with watching yours.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I actually go back and I relive the moments because it was such a fun cruise on the Spirit. First of all, going from Hawaii to Alaska all in one cruise blows my mind that we did that. I can't believe that's a thing.
Yeah.
And if you are listening and you are on the fence about this, jump off that fence and go book it because I recommend the cruise. It was so much fun. And the sea days in between really broke up the Hawaii and Alaska portions of the cruise. And it felt like 2 cruises in one. And it was just great. For the Spirit itself, I was so impressed with the renovation that Norwegian has done with the Spirit. It was more modern than I ever thought possible. So the Spirit was the smallest ship that I've ever been on. And I didn't know it was going to be a good ship because I was like, well, we have all these great ports, so at least we have that. But then the 5 sea days, I was worried that, it was going to be kind of boring and old, and I didn't know how it was going to be. But wow, it was so nice. And I was shocked. Like I think my jaw hit the floor when I walked in and was like, whoa, this is like a new Norwegian ship and it's so little. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
It was like a little magical ship that Norwegian is I feel like they're kind of holding it as a secret. Like nobody knows about it.
Yeah, and it goes to really exotic destinations.
It does, yeah. It goes like down there to French Polynesia and stuff.
Yeah. So what was your favorite excursion in either Alaska or both, in Hawaii and Alaska?
So in Hawaii, I'm a super, super Jurassic Park fan. I love that movie. I can quote you every line. People don't like to watch it with me because I just sit here and know every line, every word to all the movie. So I got to take a helicopter ride in Kauai that landed on the Jurassic Falls waterfall from the very first scene in the movie where they land at the waterfall. And I took that excursion and I was crying. It was like I was in the movie and we were wearing headphones for the helicopter and they were playing the Jurassic Park music in my ears. And it was just like this surreal experience of, I don't know, it was just, I can't even really explain how emotional I got because it was everything all in one. And it was so amazing. And then in Alaska, when we went to Icy Strait Point, we took a whale watching tour and it was our very first port in Alaska. And I was blown away by everything. We saw so many whales. We saw a bear, eagles. It was like all of Alaska came out and said hello to us as we came into the state. And I was just, oh my gosh, Alaska is wow. Like that's the only word that I can describe Alaska is just wow. Everything about Alaska is just
Now, was that your first helicopter tour?
It was, yes. So I was very nervous about that. And then of course, I had my emotional experience landing.
It's funny, when we were flying home, we were just reflecting on the trip. And my wife mentioned that, she would like to go on a helicopter tour because so many people we were running into were telling us about tours they took either in Hawaii or Alaska on a helicopter. And that's something that never, ever occurred to me that my wife would be interested in doing. And so now, of course, we had already decided we want to go back. That was kind of an easy decision to make, but I'm going to make sure when we go back to Alaska, when we go back that we do some kind of a helicopter excursion.
You should definitely do it. I recommend it. It was smoother than I thought. I was really nervous that it was going to be like shaky, but it was like gliding through the air so nice and peacefully. And I loved it. I recommend it. You need to do it. Your wife will love it.
So let's go way back. Well, I guess way back. Talk about your first cruise. Your very first cruise.
So our first cruise was in 2011. And it was on the Holland America Oosterdam. Sean was working for a company at that time, and they took us on a employee retreat on the cruise.
Oh, okay.
So they brought us all on there, and that was our very first one.
So did you get hooked immediately, or was it something that had to grow on you?
Well, it wasn't an automatic thing. I will say the Oosterdam wasn't probably the best ship to start out with for a adventure cruising experience. We really liked being on the ocean and visiting different ports. But that ship was a very old clientele. Like the guests were very, very old. And we weren't sure if it was how we wanted to vacation. It was more of like, do we do this? Is this for us? We were in California at the time, so we took the cruise out of San Diego. And then we moved back to Orlando, which of course is closer to more cruising. So we had a 4-day like weekend. We're like, let's try another cruise, maybe one that's not so old and geared towards our age. So we went on the Enchantment of the Seas and we had a good time, but because it was a short cruise and we were still new to cruising, we didn't know that it was a booze cruise. We didn't know what a booze cruise was. So it was a bit not like us. Like we were like, well, I don't know if this is for us either. So we had this really old cruise and then we had a booze cruise. We had like two opposite ends of the cruising. Yes.
Yeah, two extremes.
Yes, two very big extremes. And then so we were on the fence. We were like, I don't know if this is for us. We liked the cost. When we started cruising, the cost is nowhere near where it is now. It was a lot cheaper to cruise. So that was very intriguing for us. We ended up going, it was Sean's birthday, and Norwegian came out with this brand new ship called the Norwegian Getaway. And it was just happened to be Sean's birthday. The rates were stupid cheap for a 7-day cruise. We're like, okay, well, we've been on the 4. We went on this old person cruise. Now let's try a 7-day and on this brand new ship. And maybe, just maybe, we might like this. This is going to be our last try. We're like, if this doesn't work, we're out. We're not going to spend our money this way to vacation. And we went on the Getaway and we fell in love with cruising. And we knew that that was definitely our preferred way to vacation. And it was that's history now. The Norwegian Getaway saved our cruising,
career.
Yeah, our cruising career, really.
So talk about the creation of the Sean and Stef brand.
Well, it's very interesting. So we started our Sean and Stef channel by creating music video style videos, like of our vacations. We wanted to remember Sean was an editor, has done visual effects, so he was great with the video stuff. And we just wanted to remember little keepsakes of our trips. So Sean started putting them together. And we had little montages, so to speak. We weren't talking on camera, it was just bits and pieces of our vacations. And then we decided.
And excuse me, were these exclusively cruise, or this was all kind of trips?
They were actually mostly Disney, because we were going to Disney parks together, and we would just keep, just little point and shoot cameras that we had of our Disney vacation. From there, we had this channel, and it wasn't big or anything like that. And we decided that, I think it was like 2017, that we wanted to have a baby, and we were going down the infertility route, and we wanted to document the process, mostly because for us to remember, mostly to tell our kids when they were those teenage years, that those difficult years, we can point to these videos and goes, look what we did to have you. Like, look at all this stuff that we did to have what you're doing. You're being this way right now. Look what we did. That journey didn't end the way we wanted. And I was very sad, and it was a very devastating time. And Sean, we had been cruising a lot, up until then. And Sean knew that was our happy place. So he booked a one last cruise on the Norwegian Epic, just to bring a little happy back into our lives. And we were going to use that trip as our last documentation for this process. Like, this was the end of our fertility journey. Bookend it. We're done. Life goes on to the next thing. We posted those vids, and then people love them. And they're like, you guys should cruise more. We want to know more about other cruise lines. So can you go on this cruise? And we did. And so Sean likes to say that we lost a family in 2017, but we gained a family that was larger than we could ever imagine with YouTube, which became our whole family.
Wow. Give us a few highlights of cruising, with Sean that you documented on the channel.
So Sean and I are very blessed, and we've been to some amazing places, and I'm so thankful to have those memories with Sean. There are a lot to choose from. It's hard to pick which one I would choose. I would say probably we took 2 cruises with P&O out of Europe, and those are the most memorable cruises for me because we got to see Northern Europe, which we went to Amsterdam and Belgium. And then we also are in our second part of that cruise. We went to Norway, and Norway is just spectacular. It's something out of a storybook, and every site that you see is more breathtaking than the next one. It was wonderful. And my best memory of it, we were watching the Queen movie when it came, because it had just come out, and we were watching it on the big, I call it funnel vision because of Disney. I'm Disney in the brain, but their big movie screen. And we're sitting there with a blanket, and we're sailing through the fjords and hearing the Queen music from the movie echoing off of the mountains while we are sailing through. Was just, Sean looked at me and goes, I can't believe that we're here. And it was one of those memories that I'll never forget. And I hold very, very, very close to me because it was so special. And that memory takes me right back in a second to how amazing Norway is. So that's probably my biggest one.
Was that out of Southampton?
It was, yep.
Okay, I just booked, or not just, but I recently booked a cruise out of Southampton to Norway.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Haven't seen it yet, but I've interviewed well over 100, hundreds of cruise personalities like yourself, and Norway is always high on the list of most memorable cruises.
Yeah, Alaska is probably side by side with Norway for me. I think they're tied. They're completely different. I thought that they were going to be very similar, and they were not. It was completely two different worlds, but they both with beauty are equal in my mind.
Are you working on anything special at Sean and Stef? I guess you got to get your vlogs for the Virgin Voyages trip. Anything else?
Yep, that right now that's the only one. It'll just be the Virgin ships. The Virgin Vids will be coming out soon. I also was on the Brightline train to Miami, and I have a whole video about that experience. Now I won't give it all away, but I will say I don't think I'll ever drive to Miami again. It was
I saw your post on social media about that.
Yeah, it was so great.
So how can fans follow Sean and Stef on the internet and social media?
So we are basically Sean and Stef everywhere. And so Facebook, Instagram, I post a lot on Instagram, especially when I'm traveling. Instagram stories, I love. It's like a little diary, which are fun for me to do. So those are pretty much, and then of course, YouTube is Sean and Stef as well.
So there are some great new ships coming out beginning of 24 and then in 25. Do you have your eyes on any of them?
There are, and there are a lot of them coming out. Like it's going to be an exciting couple of years here for cruising. I'm most excited for Icon of the Seas, and comes out. Well, it's going to be Royal Caribbean just took control of the ships this week, which is really exciting. And I will be on the inaugural cruise in January on that one. So I can't.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be really, really fun.
Yeah, I have someone who's going to be on the inaugural to come on the podcast and kind of give us a trip report. I looked at the prices and said, I'll wait a little while.
Yeah, I got very lucky getting a price on the very first day it was open. So that was like 2.5 years ago, I think, that I booked, and the pricing is like tripled what I paid for it. So I was really lucky to get in there.
What else do you have booked?
I don't have anything else booked right now at the moment. It's just Icon. But things change so fast for me. Like I never know where I'm going to be. And so it could be on this ship tomorrow. And people call me up. They're like, hey, I can sponsor you on this trip. And I'm like, sure, I'll go. Let's do it. So
you've been on so many cruises. What is there to see that you haven't?
Well, I do want to see the entire world eventually. That was the goal of Sean and mine. But right now, I really want to see Australia, New Zealand, and French Polynesian islands, because wow, that the whole area just looks absolutely beautiful. And Also, I want to visit every international Disney park. I've been to Disneyland Paris, so that one's a check. But now I just need to go and see the other ones as well. Really, those are the three things. Like, well, I guess it's more 3, 4, 5, 6. But they're mostly international. I want to see Asia. I just want to see the whole world.
Do you do pretty much exclusively cruising now, or do you mix it in with some land travel?
Mostly just cruising now. With Sean being gone, it's a very like a blanket to me, like a safety blanket that just wraps me in a hug when I go on the ships. So for me, I love cruising, and cruising solo as a solo female woman. I feel very safe doing it, and I don't. So I enjoy that. I like doing the land portions of our port days, and I may get adventurous maybe one day to do a Europe land exploration. But for now, I'm happy with cruising.
You know what I hear is really nice is to do a land, going back to our Alaska trip, it's Denali and then a cruise.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That'd be really great.
That's kind of a bucket list item. Well, before we let you go, Steph, a couple of fun cruise questions, or maybe I should say light cruise questions, and then perhaps a fun oddball question. I call it oddball because it doesn't necessarily relate to cruising. So the first one is pretty easy. It's just so that I can get some ideas for my upcoming cruises. What's your favorite cruise drink and cruise food?
So for cruise drink, my go-to cruise drink is a French martini. I absolutely love it. They're so creamy and they have a little bit of a raspberry taste. They're my favorite. I love them so much. As far as cruise,
no, it's just called a French martini.
It's called a French martini. Yep. And it comes in a martini glass, and it's frothy, and it tastes like raspberry frothy goodness. It's so good.
Sounds delicious.
And for food, as long as it's not cheese, I love it. I love it all. I think for cruising, that's what I love. One of the things I love most is that there's so many different types of food all in one place. So I don't really have a favorite for that. I like it, all of it. As long as it's not cheese. I don't like cheese.
But you can eat like dairy, right?
Yeah, I'm not allergic to it. I just don't like the taste.
Okay. What's your most wonderful or memorable or funniest or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
So I think that Sean would probably agree with this. It's probably the funniest. And I guess it could be embarrassing. I wasn't embarrassed because I'm a clumsy person. We were on the Disney Magic, and we just finished dinner at Lumiere's, which is kind of their big main dining room. And they have stairs that are leaving the restaurant. Well, I was recording at the time and did not know that there were stairs, and I completely fell up the stairs and onto my face. The best part about it was that in the camera footage, it doesn't even look like I fell. And Sean just laughed about that so much, but I was wearing a dress, and the dress was over my head. So the entire restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Got a nice shot of my backside without a dress on.
All righty then.
I'm a clumsy person.
Sometimes when I ask that question and people tell me I've heard all kind of stories. I like to come back with a saying that's common on social media: photos or it didn't happen.
That's right.
In your case, I'm going to move on. The oddball question: you have a large following. Welcome to the many Sean and Stef fans listening. We hope your fans have enjoyed what they have heard at the Joy of Cruising podcast, and will come back in the future for future episodes or past episodes. Share one thing that my listeners and your fans don't know about Stef.
So we're so open about everything in our lives. We have been with everything. I don't really know if there's anything that people don't know about me. But maybe one thing that they don't know, my favorite color. Now, most people would assume that my favorite color is probably pink because I have so much pink and I have pink in my hair, but my favorite color is actually yellow. I don't wear yellow, but it is my favorite color. But yeah, pink would be my second favorite. So I bet people don't know that my favorite color is yellow.
There you go. Stef, thank you so much for coming on the Joy of Cruising podcast, and all the best to you in your wonderful new opportunity with Disney and in your cruising career. You and Sean invited the cruising community into your lives, and you have never stopped letting people in your life. You have grieved publicly through Sean and Stef, and your fans are with you as you continue the recovery process. You are a model of inspiration, and I applaud you, and I know things will continue to get better for you. Please come back on the Joy of Cruising podcast. And as they say, I'll see you on the ocean.
Thanks for having me, Paul. This was wonderful. This has been a wonderful, wonderful night.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.